Welcome to the next page. Okay. So at this point, you should be on the part of the question that says on a part of the packet that says examples. We're looking at example 1. Here is the figure that we have. It has 1, 2, 3 angles, and we're going to start using our understanding of the vocabulary to start understanding the relationships between these angles. Starting with part A. What is the relationship between angle 1 and angle 2? Are they congruent? Well, I'm looking at this, and if we added angle 1 and 2 together, they would equal 90 degrees. However, this line isn't cutting right through the halfway mark of this square, so we can assume that these are not two congruent angles. Angle 1 probably has a higher measure than angle 2. So it's not congruent. Are they adjacent? Angle 1 has the same point that the angle is formed as angle 2. Also, the thing that I'm noticing is that angle 1 and angle 2 share this line in the middle. So angle 2 is formed with the same vertex and the same line as angle 1. Angle 1 and angle 2 share this line in the middle. They share the same vertex over here. So right now, adjacent is the best answer. Uh-oh. This is not the example that I meant to show you. Sorry. Okay. Now we're talking about complementary angles. Complementary, remember that when we add these two angles together, it means that they're going to total 90 degrees. So I'm looking at it. If we add angle 1 and angle 2 together, we would be able to cover all of the angle space that encapsulates this box. So angle 1 plus angle 2 would give us this box, and we know that when we see this box, it equals 90 degrees. So not only are these two angles adjacent, they are complementary. Supplementary means that if we add them together, it would equal 180 degrees, and we just know that that's not true. So you would have to pick the best answer here. We would know that when we answer these two questions that they would be adjacent and complementary because they share the same line and the same vertex. And if you add them together, they would equal 90 degrees. So we are explaining our thinking. You're going to put something along those lines. I'm not going to tell you what to type here. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys respond with so that I know like what type of feedback and corrections I need to make along the way. So I'm just going to type something right there. Do not do this. Actually give me a full sentence response. Okay. Part C. If angle 1 is 50 degrees, then what is the measure of angle 2? Again, this is something that there are two methods to do. There's the arithmetic method, and then there's the algebraic method. They are going to feel very similar. I am going to show you both of them. So this is definitely a part where you're going to want to, like, if you need to pause the video, get a place in your notebook that looks like that method 1, method 2 page so that you have like a clear-cut example of what this should look like. Go ahead and pause your video. I'm going to get my board ready so that like we're not wasting any time. Okay, so here I have my angles. I've made like a smaller version of those angles, and we're going to first do the arithmetic method, followed by the algebraic method. So the arithmetic method, I have to follow this sort of thinking. I'm thinking about what is the relationship between angle 1 and angle 2? This is always a question that you should ask yourself when you're like trying to find a missing angle. The first thing that I know is I know that angle 1 is 50 degrees. And the question, and I'm going to ask myself first, what is the relationship between angle 1 and angle 2? Well, I know that they're complementary angles. How do I know that? Because when I put them together, they form a right angle. So when I put these together, they form the right angle. And what do I know about complementary angles, or what do I know about right angles? They have a sum of 90 degrees. So the arithmetic method says that I'm going to start with 90. And I can find angle 2 by subtracting the value that I already have, which is 50. So 90 minus 50 equals 40. Angle 2 equals 40 degrees. The algebraic method involves us just writing an equation to help us solve the same thing. What's an equation that I could use to help me think about this algebraically? I know that 50 plus a number that I don't know just yet is going to equal 90 degrees. Basically what I'm saying is when I take the value of this angle, when I take the value of angle 1 plus the value of angle 2, it's going to give me 90 degrees. And if that's true, and I know the value of angle 1, then I just pay 50 plus x equals 90. And then I do my favorite game, which should be like somebody's favorite game by now, which is isolate the variable by doing the inverse operation on both sides. And we now know that x is equal to 90 minus 50, which is 40 degrees. Arithmetic method, algebraic method. The only way that you can do this right is by making sure that like you one are paying to the relationships between angles, and then you have some piece of information that's going to help you get to the other side. Alrighty then. All right, my page is refreshed. I'm ready to do example 2, which basically, in the way that we approach answer 2, we're using the arithmetic method is as follows. First thing I'm going to ask myself is, what's different about example 1 and example 2? In this case, we're working with supplementary and not complementary angles. We can see that that question is asking us about a supplementary angle. They're basically saying if angle NAM and NAT are supplementary, meaning that these two angles together should equal 180 degrees. Remember that. That's the major difference between that example and this, between the first example and this one, is that we're now dealing with supplementary angles. And we know that the value of NAM is 140 degrees. Something that you all should be doing that I would seriously encourage is to like draw a sketch of whatever it is that you're working on so that you can draw an example, draw a sketch of your examples and draw a sketch of your questions so that you can mark that up and label it on your paper so that you don't get lost in the shuffle. Just like I did, like I sat here and I wrote it up so that when I'm solving it, I can keep track of the measurements for each of these. With that in mind, I'm going to follow the next like train of thought. We know the measure of the first angle. What we don't know is the measurement for NAT, but what we do know is that NAM plus NAT is going to equal 180 degrees. So if we want to find the measure of NAT, we can just say 180 degrees, which is what it should total, minus what we already know, which is 140, equals 40 degrees. So the value of NAT, the value of angle NAT should equal 40 degrees. And the way we can check is just by doing 140 plus 40, and it should equal 180. The other way that we can do this is the algebraic method way, which basically says to write up an equation that we can use to solve this. What we know about supplementary angles is that angle NAM plus angle NAT are going to equal 180 degrees. And then we just plug in the information that we do know and variables for the information that we don't know. We do know that angle NAM is equal to 140 degrees, and that plus our unknown is going to equal 180. And now that we've set up and are in the process of solving our algebraic equation, we can isolate our variable to find the value of x. 180 minus 140 equals 40, and we know that angle NAT is equal 40 degrees. The algebraic method is a really simple and easy one to use because once you know like what your supplementary and complementary angle should be, then it'll be a lot easier for you to write those equations. But either way, either one of these methods, you cannot go wrong as long as you pay attention to, whether you're dealing with a complementary angle or a supplementary angle, and you remember the rules for each. So make sure that you put that answer in on your examples. The practice problems are going to be just kind of testing your understanding of the vocabulary and then applying it with algebra or arithmetic to be able to get those right answers. Definitely looking forward to what you guys have. Great. Cool.